A 36-year-old guy sitting in his parents' semi-detached house in Hounslow, England, completely shattered the global financial system. Using just one customized trading algorithm running on a standard retail computer, he wiped out a staggering $1 trillion of value in just 36 frantic minutes. On May 6, 2010, the United States stock market suffered what is now infamously known as the flash crash. It was the single largest one-day point drop in the history of the Dow Jones Industrial Average up to that exact moment. The sudden chaos was so severe that major blue-chip corporations like Procter & Gamble saw their stock prices instantly plummet from $60 down to literally one single penny. Another massive company, Accenture, saw its shares drop to a fraction of a cent. For 36 agonizing minutes, the entire global financial ecosystem looked like it was undergoing complete self-destruction. People were screaming on the floor of Wall Street, and the White House was immediately briefed on a potential national security threat. Everyone in power assumed that this was a massive cyber attack launched by a foreign superpower, or perhaps a catastrophic glitch in the financial matrix. But it wasn't an enemy superpower. It was Navinder Singh Sarao. He was a regular guy who genuinely hated luxury, rarely ever left his room, and used a basic computer setup to beat Wall Street's billion-dollar institutions at their very own game. This is the unbelievable story of how a single-bedroom trader accidentally broke the global economy, made millions of dollars from his childhood bed, and exposed why the system was so unbelievably fragile that he could do it in the first place. To truly understand how Navinder managed to accomplish this, you first have to understand exactly who he was. He was not a malicious hacker or a digital criminal. Instead, he was an incredibly gifted savant at mathematics and pattern recognition. In the early 2000s, Navinder managed to get a job at a small trading firm. While there, he quickly realized he possessed a bizarre superpower. He could look closely at a rapidly changing screen of flashing numbers, known as the order book, where people offer to buy and sell stocks, and instantly spot precisely where the market was going next. While other professional traders around him were making a few $1,000s, Navinder was pulling in millions of dollars. However, he absolutely hated the corporate environment. So he quit, went straight back to his parents' modest home in a working-class suburb located near Heathrow Airport, and set up shop in his childhood bedroom. By the year 2010, the landscape of Wall Street had completely changed. Human traders were rapidly being replaced by automated high-frequency trading algorithms, commonly known as HFTs. These are multi-million-dollar supercomputers placed physically close to the stock exchanges to execute trades in microseconds, literally faster than the single blink of an eye. Navinder hated them passionately. He saw these corporate algorithms as massive bullies that were actively rigging the market against regular retail traders. Every single time Navinder tried to place a legitimate trade, the algorithms would use their extreme speed to jump ahead of him and alter the price. Navinder decided he was going to fight back. He hired a programmer to build a customized piece of software that interacted directly with the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. He simply wanted a digital tool that could outsmart the corporate bots. What he did not realize at the time was that his anti-bully tool was about to become a financial weapon of mass destruction. The specific strategy Navinder used is called spoofing. Today, this practice is highly illegal, but back then, it existed in a massive regulatory gray area. To understand it, think of the stock market like a giant hyper-fast auction. If an automated algorithm suddenly sees a massive wave of people trying to sell an asset, it instantly panics. It thinks, "Wow, something terrible must be happening. I need to lower my prices immediately to get rid of mine." Navinder's software took advantage of this exact behavioral flaw. Imagine you want to buy a rare collectible card. It's currently selling for $100. You think that's too expensive, and you want to buy it for $80. Instead of just waiting, you create 1,000 fake accounts on the auction site. Using those fake accounts, you place 1,000 listings offering to sell that exact card for $95, $90, and $85. You have absolutely no intention of ever actually selling those cards. But to everyone else on the site, it suddenly looks like the market is completely flooded with people desperate to get rid of this card. The real sellers get terrified. They quickly drop their real price down to $80 just to make a sale. The moment they drop the price to $80, you buy it with your real account. Then, with the click of a button, you instantly delete all 1,000 fake listings. The artificial panic vanishes, the price bounces back to $100, and you just made a clean $20 profit. Now, multiply that by millions of dollars and speed it up to happen in milliseconds. That is exactly what Navinder was doing from his bedroom. On the afternoon of May 6, 2010, the stock market was already highly stressed due to anxieties over the European debt crisis. The market conditions were like a dry forest waiting for a spark. At 2:32 p.m., Navinder turned on his spoofing algorithm from his bedroom in Hounslow. He started placing massive, unprecedented sell orders for E-mini S&P 500 futures contracts, the primary tool used to bet on the direction of the U.S. stock market. He placed billions of dollars worth of sell orders, but his software was programmed to constantly stay just one step out of reach, modifying and canceling the orders before they could ever actually be executed. To the high-frequency trading algorithms on Wall Street, Navinder's massive wall of fake sell orders looked like a giant institutional whale dumping everything it had. The corporate bots panicked completely. They started selling their own assets to get ahead of the impending crash. But because they were interacting with each other at light speed, they triggered a massive, uncontrollable feedback loop. Computer A sold because Computer B sold, which forced Computer C to sell even faster. Between 2:41 p.m. and 2:45 p.m., a window of just 4 minutes, the stock market plummeted a staggering 5 to 6%. Traders on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange were staring at screens in utter horror. Billion-dollar funds were being wiped out. The liquidity of the U.S. financial system evaporated into thin air. And what was Navinder doing? He saw the market dropping rapidly. Because he was shorting the market, meaning he profited when things went down, he was making money hand over fist. On that single afternoon, during those chaotic 36 minutes, he hauled in over $800,000. Eventually, realizing things had gone completely off the rails, Navinder switched his computer off. By 3:08 p.m., the market realized the massive wave of selling pressure had miraculously disappeared. Prices snapped back almost as fast as they had fallen. The 36-minute apocalypse was over. Immediately after the crash, the regulatory authorities, the SEC and the CFTC launched a massive investigation. They put together a heavy-duty report. Their conclusion? They blamed a regular mutual fund in Kansas that had executed a large, legitimate sell order. They completely missed Navinder. Wall Street's brightest minds couldn't see the guy in the bedroom. In fact, Navinder kept trading from his parents' house for another 5 years. He ultimately amassed a fortune of over $40 million. But he didn't buy a mansion. He didn't buy a Ferrari. He drove a second-hand car, wore cheap tracksuits, and kept eating his mom's home-cooked meals. When people asked him why he traded if he didn't spend the money, he simply said he liked winning the game. He viewed it like a video game high score. The only reason he got caught was because an independent whistleblower named Eric Hunsater noticed bizarre irregularities in the trading data from that day that the regulators had ignored. He tracked the trail of digital breadcrumbs straight to Navinder's modified software. In April 2015, 5 years after he shook the world, federal agents knocked on the door of the modest suburban house in Hounslow. Navinder was arrested and faced extradition to the United States, facing a staggering 380 years in prison for wire fraud, commodities fraud, and spoofing. This is where the story takes its final, unbelievable turn. When Navinder was taken to court, the justice system realized they weren't dealing with a greedy, malicious criminal mastermind. Navinder was diagnosed with severe Asperger's syndrome. To him, the numbers on the screen weren't real money. They were just a puzzle he was trying to solve. Even crazier, virtually all of his $40 million fortune was gone. Not because he spent it on wild parties, but because he had lost it all to scammers who promised him high-yield investments online. He was a genius at trading, but incredibly naive in the real world. The U.S. government made a deal. Instead of putting him in a federal prison, they realized his pattern recognition skills were unparalleled. Navinder spent months working with the U.S. government, teaching regulators exactly how Wall Street's algorithms work and how to catch other actual malicious cheaters. Because of his extraordinary cooperation, a U.S. federal judge sentenced him to 1 year of home confinement with 0 prison time. He was allowed to return to his bedroom in Hounslow. The 2010 flash crash exposed a terrifying truth. The global financial system is so automated, so fragile, and so reliant on hyper-fast computer loops that a single man with a clever piece of code can pull the rug out from under the entire world economy before he even finishes his morning coffee. Navinder Singh Sarao didn't mean to crash the world. He just wanted to beat the bots. And in doing so, he showed us all just how fragile our digital world really is.